My husband and I have a very solid relationship. We have been together for about 13 years, have no children, but are very active with my nephew, 4 years old, Mark, life. For some background, my husband has a child, 16 years old, Laura, with whom only my mother-in-law and to some degree father-in-law have a relationship with from his nuclear family. The reason being, she was conceived when her mom poked holes in the condoms. It was a whole drama about it, and my mother-in-law begging my husband to have a relationship with Laura, but he simply couldn't. He even had to get psychiatric help in order to be able to cope with it. The mom admitted she did it so he would stay with her due to responsibility, but it did not work. He pays child support because the law mandates it, but nothing more. I didn't hear about this news from my husband, but from my mother-in-law, and she emphasized that she liked me a lot and hoped I would be a good enough person and procure a relationship between my husband and Laura. I was flabbergasted and asked my now husband about it because my mother-in-law made it seem so different than the truth. He explained he was going to tell me before we moved in together. And to be fair, he kind of had already gave me little informations here and there and explained the whole situation and even told me I could go to therapy with him and see the psych info if I wanted, but things were not like my mother-in-law said. His sister confirmed this as well, and explained this issue was the reason she was not as close to her parents anymore. Things went okay-ish for some time, and even the wedding went without issues. We all have several boundaries, and mother-in-law more or less respects them, although she still has constant communication with Laura and her mom. We have several cycles of very less contact with her. But things went into overdrive once my sister-in-law got pregnant with Mark. Mother-in-law started telling everybody it was not her first grandchild and all that cryptic stuff. My husband was so uncomfortable about it. She pushed for Laura to be involved in birthday parties, christening, etc., but we all said no. She also invited both of them to her birthday party a couple times, and we simply did not attend. Now the new issue is that Laura has been so sad for not having the bio dad in her life. My husband said no and left immediately. I stayed while grabbing our stuff since I had brought food and told her it was not going to happen. According to my mother-in-law, Laura just wants to know my husband since he is her real dad. And despite being okay with her stepdad, it's not the same. She said she will give her our address and contact info because she is desperate for a connection. I told her I would call the police on all of them. I said my sister-in-law will be very upset with her when she hears of this, and to not be surprised to get less access to Mark. Mother-in-law called my husband cruel and me a bad person for encouraging his cruelty towards an innocent child. I told her I understand Laura is innocent, but she most likely would not be asking the same if it was a woman who conceived in the same circumstances. Am I the butthole? Eat it. I thank you all for your opinions, even if you say we are monsters or cruel. I'm trying to keep up, but I think I need to clarify some things. I asked if am I the a-hole, not because I want to betray my husband, but because I stand by him no matter what. The condom did not break, and he was very into safe coition. She assured him she was on the pill, but he wanted to be safer by using condoms. Yes, she admitted to poking holes when he asked her if she would consider an abortion, and if not, if they could co-parent because he really didn't want a relationship anymore. She admitted to it. Mother-in-law knows all of this. She is not in jail because mother-in-law begged my husband to not report it, and he just wanted it all over. My father-in-law is like Switzerland now. At the beginning he was up in arms until my sister-in-law asked him if he would feel the same if it happened to her. Mother-in-law is on thin ice with sister-in-law since she introduced Mark to Laura on a zoo outing without consulting sister-in-law first. Mother-in-law is not allowed alone time with Mark anymore. He has to pay child support until Laura is 18 or done with education in the country we live in. He already made sure to make a will, leaving her the minimum allowed by law, since you can't disinherit children in the country, but you can leave them the least amount. Mother-in-law is very distraught at this, since he had me and Mark as main beneficiaries. Husband does not want to meet Laura, give her a letter, etc. I'm not going to make him do that. I do believe my mother-in-law has been pushing harder since Mark was born, because my husband is amazing with him. We even took him on a trip recently, and we are very loving towards him. We also spend a bunch on him because we want to. We own our place, but it's all in my name for obvious reasons. I don't know if Laura knows, but I would never tell her because it is not my place, and despite everything, I think it is horrible to learn, and worse, from someone you don't even know. Update 1. I want to thank everybody that took the time to reply, even if it was against us. You gave us the push we needed to clear the situation. I am sorry this is long. I showed my husband the post, and after spending a long time reading the comments, he decided enough was enough. Yesterday morning, he texted my sister-in-law and mother-in-law, telling them he would like to meet and have this over with. Mother-in-law said we could do it in the afternoon, and that Laura was coming too. We all said okay. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law met us at the door because they didn't want to go in before us. It was really tense from the beginning. Laura tried to hug everybody, but we asked her to please not. Then she tried to hug my husband, and he was slightly less polite and asked her to not touch him. My mother-in-law was very cheerful somehow, and my father-in-law was just offering everybody drinks and snacks. He was like living in his own reality. We sat down, and after what felt like the longest 5 silent minutes of my life, my husband turned to Laura and asked her if she could please leave him alone. Laura responded that he was her dad, and she will need his support when she goes to university, since she was planning to move to our city, and it was very expensive and hard to find a place. She said she knew he owned his own place, and that he clearly has money to spare, so she was wondering if he would help her out. My husband said no, that he was already paying child support, and will stop as soon as the law allows him to. She was upset, but somehow kept going. She turned to me and said that at the end of the day, what is my husband's will go to her, since mother-in-law explained the inheritance laws to her, and she wanted to be in good terms with me for when we need to decide what to do with the house, etc. I just told her not to worry, because the house is on my name only, and there is already a will covering it all. The mother-in-law knew about the will, but not the house situation. Laura was a bit taken aback and looked at my mother-in-law like asking for help. She said that even if there is no future money, she thought my husband was unfair to her, and that she used to think he simply didn't want to be a dad, but he is amazing with Mark, and we even take him on trips. My sister-in-law asked her point blank if she knew how she was conceived, and she did. Laura knows everything and says that while it was not the nicest way her mom wanted her so badly, that made it happen. She said my sister-in-law should understand because she has her cousin, and she would love a relationship with him. My sister-in-law was seething, and my brother-in-law told Laura he will literally call the cops if she tries to get near Mark. She started crying, saying that she wanted her family to love her and be as awesome as everybody is with Mark, and that it is not her fault, and her mom is not a bad person, she just wanted a family. And my husband denied them that. My husband said that it was the lying and the deception that cost the relationship, not him. That if there was an honest mistake, things would have been different. He told her he will never be her dad, and she needs therapy. He said that she could get a job instead of expecting him to pay for her life in the long term, and that he is not willing to have contact after today. Mother-in-law started begging both her kids not to go and maybe do family therapy. They both said they are going no contact with her, and father-in-law is on thin ice. Mother-in-law is blocked everywhere. I guess this is it. No contact with mother-in-law from all of us. Sister-in-law and husband seem actually pretty happy with the decision. We had dinner together, and the topic was dropped after a couple minutes and we focused on other stuff. I am sorry there is no Disney ending, but this is for the best, and I still support my husband's mental health above all. Edit. I think I would like to play a little devil's advocate regarding the money. When Mark was born, we started being very active in his life. We have yearly passes to the zoo, get him nice things, pick him up from daycare twice per week, get him to Disneyland Paris, etc. I believe my mother-in-law was showing her pictures, and that is why it came out like this. Or at least it is my assumption of it. Her mom is not poor by any means, but she does have 2 other kids. Our city is very popular for student life. which makes it that much expensive. My husband and I are not interested in having or not having children on our own. We simply are ambivalent about the issue. I know it might have made my mother-in-law even more eager to have a relationship with Laura. We were giving her pocket money for some time, but we have decided to stop that as well and let her figure things out with her pension alone. I don't think we will have anything else to update in this case, other than if Laura or mother-in-law come around Mark, but I highly doubt this will happen. As much as we don't want a relationship with any of them, these are teenagers and pensioners, not criminal masterminds. Update 2. I want to start by saying thank you again to the encouraging messages to the ones calling us all monsters. We are humans and flawed as every single one of the rest. I thought the issue was over and dropped, but it seems it is now. We had some weeks of bliss and chaos afterwards. We are all still recovering from it. Now to what happened to explode our life again, and please keep in mind, it brings me no joy. My nephew Mark turned 5 weeks after my last update. After so many messages from my mother-in-law and father-in-law, my sister-in-law decided to let them attend, but told mother-in-law she was not to bother me or my husband. My mother-in-law did not approach us once, but kept staring at us, and we decided to ignore her. The issue was that I kept holding my pumped stomach, and my husband kept being goofy about it. I am not pregnant. I have several intolerances to delicious yummy things that make me bloated, but I misbehave and eat sometimes. My mother-in-law does not know about most of them, since they are age-developed, and we used to go to yo-yo with less contact with her, so I guess she assumed I was pregnant. A week after Mark's birthday party, when everything went to hell, Laura came to my husband's office and made a scene. She was screaming at him how she couldn't believe he was starting over without taking care of his first child, and many other insults and stuff. She was throwing office supplies and crying and making a whole deal, so the office manager called the police and an ambulance. She also called me. By the time I arrived, my husband was having a panic attack in his office and totally sure he was fired. I told him to not worry and I will sort it. I explained everything to everybody from coworkers to police. Laura was taken in for evaluation and the coworkers took a long lunch so my husband could leave without having the awkward walkout. I took my husband home shaking, and as he was panicking and crying, he said he felt unsafe. I took him to his psychiatrist and the psychiatrist was able to calm it, and we also had a session together days later where he opened up more about what the mom did to him. This has been very expensive, but worth it for sure. Laura was not really in trouble since the office manager agreed to let it go for an apology and payment. The mom, Laura's, was not having it. The moment she saw my husband at the station, she went ballistic, and my husband couldn't handle it, and he had another panic attack. This woman is a damn doctor, but does not care for it. At the end, she paid the fine and restitution to the office and took Laura home. As a little background, I would like to share something I recently discovered about my husband's relationship with Laura's mom. Whatever I thought, it was way worse. We'll not go into details, but during therapy, it came out she even threatened him once with a knife. It has been really hard to keep it together lately, but explains a lot of my husband's reactions here. My sister-in-law was so done with my mother-in-law after it, she told her dad he either divorce her or she is cutting him too. It is still a 50-50, since sister-in-law is literally father-in-law's favorite person, but he has been married to mother-in-law for like 44 years. My brother-in-law took my husband camping and they had fun and kept him distracted. He has been mainly on sick leave since the incident. He is a manager, so he would come 1 day a week and then get the rest of the week covered so he can recover. This was suggested by his bosses. They all feel like they should have protected their employees better. My sister-in-law, husband, brother-in-law, and I had a disagreement due to Laura's expenses. I suggested to just get her a block payment and requesting she should get therapy, but all of them say she should get nothing. I said I would be willing to pay for it, but after the new revelations on my husband's relationship with the mom, my sister-in-law is even more up in arms against helping them more than we should. I do feel bad for Laura. I do, and I know the rest. Husband, sister-in-law, brother-in-law used to a little. Now, There is no way in heaven to make them help her. The last nice thing my husband did was convincing his bosses to not charge Laura and paying for the monitors she broke. Since his leave, my husband spends a lot of his afternoons with Mark. My sister-in-law and brother-in-law are leading the charge in getting Laura to accept a bulk payment and therapy but don't want her in their life. Mother-in-law and father-in-law and estranged so far, and my husband goes to therapy once a week and slowly recovering. And before it starts, yes, we know Laura is a victim of her mom, but does it give her a right to re-traumatize my husband? I still stand with my husband, and probably will be called the worst of the worst, but some advice was very good the first few times, so that's why I came back. Update 3. Hi, this will be the last update on the situation my family has had going. I again thank you for all your messages, positive or negative. But just want to mention one last thing, and it's as bad and awful. Some comments where the chats were worse. I have thick skin, but if you are going to say such horrible things, have the courage to do it in public. To those helping out and taking the time to have a dialogue, I thank you so much. Since everything happened with Laura at the office, my husband decided to request a home office for himself and any other person wanting it on his team. This ended with most of the company going into it, and a very big bump on their salaries since they stopped renting the building. This meant the child support payments had to be recalculated, since my husband's bump was significant for several reasons. This also made the negotiations about the lump sum I proposed were cut. My husband might have to pay support until Laura is out of university, but we are okay with that. As of now, we have a savings account we both contribute to, but with only my name on it. After all the drama at my husband's office, I received a message from Laura's stepfather. I have never ever met the man in real life before this, but I knew I had to reply to that message. Long story short, he has been trying to officially adopt Laura for about 10 years, but has always been told by her mom, or even my mother-in-law, that my husband refused. He was also told that Laura has some relationship with my husband and even stayed with us sometimes, but we wanted to keep things separated. I honestly don't know if he is gullible or simply was trying to make us feel bad. The conversation ended with him promising to get Laura and her mom into therapy, and that was at the end of July. My father-in-law died in September. It was a very sudden stroke and shocked us all. His children organized a lovely funeral, and it was the last time we all saw mother-in-law and Laura. Laura stayed most of the time on my mother-in-law's side, but eventually approached my husband and sister-in-law. She was respectful and even apologized for the incident at the office. She totally ignored me, but I was good with that. She has not tried to contact my husband or sister-in-law since. We have all officially gone no contact with our mother-in-law since her stances have not changed at all. The whole family knows the situation, but nobody wants to get in the middle of it because they don't want to deal with mother-in-law's tantrums. The reason this will be my last update is I'm about 4 months pregnant, and we are over the moon about it. I know many of you will have awful things to say in the comments, but for those supportive, know this has actually been great news to my husband, and he is overjoyed with it. We are going to focus on our family and continue to heal as a unit, which of course includes sister-in-law, brother-in-law, and nephew. My nephew's only question was if the baby was allowed to go to the zoo with him since he wants to show it to the monkeys. It was adorable and has been telling all his friends in kindergarten about it. I feel this is going to be a healing experience for all of us. My husband has started opening up more about what happened and why he has reacted to all this situation this way, not only with me or family, but with friends as well. They knew parts, but not the whole picture. This might enrage many, but sharing his story has made him thrive and took a lot of stigma-related guilt he had. I hope Laura and mother-in-law can heal eventually as well, but we need to focus on this new chapter of our lives and can't get sucked into the drama. I wish you all well. Some people left comments below. Look, I'll be blunt here. I was a molest child. My 27-year-old father used drugs and assaulted my 14-year-old mother. Why am I saying this? Because it's a bit of a claim to authority. I'm sorry, but but I think my opinion does have a bit more validity in this particular case, even with studies or whatever to back my claims. You? Not the a-hole. Your husband? Not the a-hole. The girl? Not the a-hole. Probably doesn't know she was a molest child. The mother? An absolute puss. Don't besmirch the good asshole name by wasting it on her. She doesn't know she's a molest child, but at this point, just let her hate your husband. Or feel abandoned. Why? Because wanting daddy is set too deep at this point. Even if she believes you, it'll make her hate her mother, but she'll still long for daddy. I say that as someone who absolutely damn hates my molester of a father, and as an adult, I'd probably bury that hecker if I ever met him. I could do the math before my mom ever told me the whole story. I knew he was a molester. I still wished I had a dad at times when I was Laura's age. Telling her the truth is just going to make her push to be with you more. She'll go from wanting to meet him to wanting to live with him. Don't bother. Your husband is the victim, but for his own sake, and Laura's, just own being the bad guy. You aren't, but play the part. It's easier. Another said, not the a-hole. Your husband was sensually assaulted, and a pregnancy resulted of that assault. I would never pressure a woman to see the child of a molestation if she didn't want to. The same goes for a man. So no, you are absolutely not the a-hole, and your husband is not either. I understand that this poor kid is as much a victim of her a-hole mother. Your husband must feel awful and is probably blaming himself for not wanting to be in the life of this kid. But he is not at fault here and shouldn't feel guilty. Easier said than done. Your mother-in-law is a monster, by the way, and so is the bio mom.